So today I thought I'd watch a wholesome movie about a wonderful father, so I'm gonna watch a goofy movie today. And just like any wholesome movie related to a father and the son, we have to start with a horny dream. Max has a dream about Roxanne that turns into a nightmare because apparently he's being bullied at school and he wakes up late for the school assembly where he has big plans. And of course, Goofy, being father of the year, wakes his son up and cleans his room for him, and we set up for the end of the movie as Goofy accidentally sucks up Max's cardboard cutout of Powerline, and Max leaves the house and we start the first song of the movie, After Today. And the song's alright and honestly very forgettable. But we do see the entire school bullying Max as he's just trying to go to school. And at the end of the song, he falls down the stairs and Roxanne helps him. And he does a good old-fashioned Goofy "Hyah," which he feels embarrassed about, but the day goes on with the plans that he has. We then see Max's friends, Pete Jr., the nicest boy. And I'll be going much more into Pete Jr. when I review my favorite movie, an extremely goofy movie. A movie I love so much that I cosplayed as Bradley Uppercrust III for Halloween. But we'll get to that in the future. We then see his other friend in the friend group, Bobby Zimmerowski, a tech genius with a very bad cheese whiz problem, who is probably one of the biggest reasons that this movie is dated in the 90s, because he's voiced by Pauly Shore. We then see the plans that Max had for the school assembly, but we also see the most impossible thing that's happened in this movie, which is the fact that the school president is the most popular kid in school, when in actuality it's almost always the least popular kid in school, but I digress. Max then tries to kill the principal with a trapdoor when we both know that he should have tried to kill him with poison. And then Max decides to sing the second best song in the movie, Stand Out. Which just slaps so hard as he's flying around via rope, trying to impress Roxanne. He finally gets caught by Principal Mazer and brought to the principal's office, this bringing Goofy into the picture when Principal Mazer calls him and causes Goofy to worry that his son is going on the wrong path. Now, before we move on to the rest of this movie, I have to show you the best scene in this movie. And after a talk with the worst father in the world, Pete Sr., Goofy decides to take his son on a fishing trip. And after deciding this, Max is finding out that doing hood rat things with his friends makes him really cool. And he gets a date to the student body president's party with Roxanne. And this makes him not want to go on the fishing trip with his dad. And as a kid, when I watched this movie, I was like, just put off the fishing trip a couple weeks, Goofy. But now as an adult, I'm just like, go spend some time with your dad. He loves you so much. And he already took all of this time off of work. And it's extremely hard to get the PTO, especially in a retail job. And it's probably not even paid time off. He's probably taking unpaid time off because he's worried about you. Stop being such a spoiled brat. But they go on the fishing trip. But first, they have to stop by Roxanne's house, as Max has to let her know that he will not be there for the next couple weeks. And he meets her dad, which is very weird. And he tells Roxanne that he's going to the Powerline concert, and he's going to be on stage because he didn't want to hurt her feelings for some reason. A trip with his dad would hurt her feelings, so he feels like he has to lie, and the trip begins. And we already see generations collide, as Max wants to listen to rock and roll, and Goofy just wants to listen to the classics. And they go back and forth, and then they break the radio, which then starts the third song of the movie, On the Open Road. First thing about this song, I do not like the phrase, shed your weary load, when talking about your son, Goofy. That is not okay. Second thing, there are some really wacky characters on the road during this road trip. Like, there's a dude playing the piano in the back of a car with some Dixie Chicks ripoff. There's a dude in a jail car who definitely killed a man. Hobo Mickey Mouse and Hobo Donald Duck. And for some reason, a speeding grandma, singing nuns. And a dude who's in the back of a trunk tied up with semen at the bottom of his feet. A secret for only the adults to understand. And then we move on and get off of the road and get to the first stop of the film, Lester's Possum Park, where an off-brand Chuck E. Cheese country yokel band plays broken down music while Goofy enjoys the time of his life with his son, while his son does not enjoy a dang old second of it. And they have coonskin caps, and Goofy is just wanting to spend quality time with his son, and he dances with them, and he thinks they're having a good time. And then out of nowhere, Max blows up at his father for wanting to be in his life, and they leave and go to the lake for fishing time. As they get to the lake, Pete shows up in his RV that shows his privilege. Him and Goofy have another talk, and you learn even more of how bad of a father Pete really is. As Goofy then has a talk with his son to teach him the perfect cast, which has the same energy as
3. Then pelvic thrust. Woo! Woo! Stop on your right foot. Don't forget it. Now it's time to bring it around town. Bring it around town. Then you do this, then this, and this, then that, and this, and that, and this, and that, and then...
And as they do the perfect cast, Goofy accidentally takes Pete's steak and finds a wild Bigfoot. It's freaking Bigfoot. Holy crap, that's actually Bigfoot. And Bigfoot is kind of a jerk and starts digging through their stuff while Pete bails on his friend so quickly. And as Max and Goofy are sitting in their car fearing for their life, Max and Goofy have a little heart-to-heart with each other about what's going on and how Goofy misses the smaller things in Max's life, like Hi Dad soup. And then Max does his first being a good person and gives Goofy the last little bit of soup, and it says, "Hi Dad," and then he goes to draw on the map when Goofy is sleeping, making him even more of a terrible child. As he's drawing on the map, he's worried Goofy's gonna wake up, and he changes the end of the trip to LA instead of the real lake that they're trying to go to. The lake of Goofy's childhood where his dad took him, and he wants to take his son. And after they finally get away from Bigfoot, they head to a diner where Goofy has a nice moment with his son, yet again, where he gives him the responsibility of the map and lets him start picking some of the places that they go to signify that he recognizes his son is more of a grown-up. And it's really sweet and touching, like every moment in this film involving Goofy. And we have a nice, sweet montage of the two of them going to places where at first we're only going to places Max wants to go. And he realizes that his dad is not enjoying the trip as much as he should, and shows a little empathy. Then we start going to places that Goofy likes, and then we start seeing that they're going to places that they both can enjoy all throughout the trip. And while this is going on, you see Max is slowly trying to learn how to switch a tire, and by the end of the montage, he really knows how to actually switch a tire. And it's sweet and adorable and shows that they're growing together as father and son, and I just love it. Then they head to a motel for the end of the night, and they encounter Pete again. Hooray! Everybody loves Pete! As Pete then tries to convince Goofy to check the map because he believes that Max is trying to lie to him. And Goofy just tries to believe in his son. And then we're treated to a very high pressure scene where Max has to choose between going to LA or the lake that they're intended to go to. And Max chooses LA, and Goofy realizes he did change the map, and now he's all super upset. And they have a little argument. And Max leans against the back of the car, and the car starts falling down the mountain. And then we see them skateboarding down the mountain to catch the car, which is a hint to the next movie in the series. Super excited for that. But back to Goofy and Max arguing as the car flies into a river. And as they're arguing while they're floating down the river, Goofy then hits Max with the hardest hitting emotional line in the film, where he tells his son, "I know you have your own life. I just want to be a part of it." And that just punches you right in the feelings. And that leads us to the next song in the film, Nobody Else But You, a song about the bond between a father and a son. And it leads us to Goofy telling Max that he is going to get him on stage with Powerline. And surprise, waterfall. As Goofy is watching his son fall off a waterfall and die, he attempts to catch his son with a fishing rod. And he does, but then he slips from the rock that he's on, and they're both falling. But luckily, Max is saved by a surprise Goofy parachute. And Goofy is holding on to the fishing rod for dear life, and then the end of the fishing rod slips, and Goofy is falling to his death. Oh no! And then Max remembers how to use the power of the perfect cast to save his father. And then we cut to both of them sneaking on backstage to the Powerline concert. And of course, Goofy stumbles his way on stage first, and Powerline just looks at him like, "Who the heck this old dude?" And Max yells at him from above to do the perfect cast. And then Goofy immediately does the perfect cast. And Powerline just learned that choreography on the spot, and that's impressive. And Max falls down onto the stage and does the perfect cast with his father and Powerline, which is just a great scene with both of them on TV jamming out to one of the best Disney songs of the 90s. Fight me if you think that's wrong. Eye to Eye is a banger of the track in every sense of the word. And then afterwards, Max and Goofy come back to town, and Goofy makes Max tell Roxanne the truth and Max and Roxanne stay together and plan a date, and then Goofy explodes. And the movie ends. And that was Goofy Movie, a wholesome family romp that only lasts a little bit more than an hour and feels like an extended Goof Troop special than a movie. But it is also one of the most wholesome films in the Disney repertoire. And if you haven't seen it yet, I recommend that you see it so you can see the most dated movie in the Disney film library that is PC approved. An extremely goofy movie, which I will be reviewing sometime in the future on Spiral Tree Entertainment. And man, am I getting better at this, because that was exactly 10 minutes of review. If you like this review, go ahead and hit that like button down below. Hit us with a subscribe if you haven't yet. And while you're at it, comment down below on any future things that you would like to see from us here at Spiral Tree. And lastly, click the link tree down below to follow us on all of our social media. I've been Isaiah with Spiral Tree Entertainment, and I will see you next time.